Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 for this news report today for Monday, June 17th, 2013. I'm Darko, my website is ggnonline.com, and on YouTube my channels are ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. Alright, I'm ready to go here. As far as the NSA thing, there's so much news and alternative media, mainstream media, that you can really go and delve into it. I'm not going to go too crazy with that like I haven't. I just think it's a kind of a big distraction. Like I said, if you don't know that this is happening, well, I mean, most of my viewers already are aware of this, so I think it's just kind of a waste of time for me to go through it thoroughly. Former U.S. Vice President claims NSA whistleblower Snowden is a Chinese spy. He's accusing the young NSA spy agency employee that exposed massive American electronic surveillance programs in the country and abroad as a Chinese spy. He says, I'm suspicious because he went to China. Says here, that's not a place where you would ordinarily want to go if you're interested in freedom, liberty, and so forth. It raises questions whether or not he had this kind of connection before he did this. Snowden reportedly flew to Hong Kong last month from Hawaii, where he worked for an NSA facility carrying troves of documents about top secret telephone and internet surveillance programs. Why is Edward Snowden in Hong Kong? You can go read this from June 12, 2013. But they go in here and they say that he went off to Hong Kong, a wholly owned subsidiary of the People's Republic of China, to seek at least temporary refuge. It says here Hong Kong has an extradition treaty with the U.S., and for China, which controls the international affairs of its Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, while granting its local autonomy to govern its domestic affairs, its leaders may not want to irritate the U.S. at a time when the Chinese economy is stumbling. These people don't have much understanding of either Hong Kong or China. So it says here that his experience is that, first of all, when it comes to deciding whether someone will be extradited for a political crime, it says here that the decision will be made in Beijing and not in Hong Kong. Second, Hong Kong has a history of providing a haven to dissidents, even those wanted by the Chinese government. Also, they have a public that is very supportive of democratic values, so certainly more than the majority of American citizens. As if the U.S. were actively to seek to extradite him, I'm confident that the place would erupt in support for him, including the local media. Of course, this is what we see. This article came out June 12th, and this June 16th. Hong Kong's pro-democracy activists rally around Snowden. So, you know, I just don't believe any of this anymore. What's real and what's not. But if it is legitimate and he was going there to seek safety, yes, the Chinese government has just as big a surveillance operations going on. But what the author is saying is that it was a gift. It was a gift to the Chinese government, and basically that China will honor the debt by seeing Snowden as protected from any threat that might be posed to him by the U.S. government. My creeping concern that the NSA leaker is not who he purports to be. So it goes on here, says some of Snowden's emphasis seem to serve an intelligence police state objective rather than to challenge them. He is super organized for a whistleblower in terms of what candidates, the White House, and all that call message discipline. Goes on here to talk about he's using PowerPoint presentations. These two steps, which are evidence of great media training, really PR 101, are virtually never done by other whistleblowers. So during the Greenwald interview, it says here that he usually, when people are giving interviews, they're struggling for words, they're thinking hard, even if you are an intelligent, articulate whistleblower. Says rather he appears to be transmitting whole paragraphs smoothly without stumbling. To me, this reads as someone who has learned his talking points, again, the way political campaigns train surrogates to transmit talking points. So it says here, it keeps saying things like, if you are a journalist and think you are the transmission point of this information, they will certainly kill you, or I fully expect to be prosecuted under the Espionage Act, or he keeps stressing that he will lose $200,000 salary, his girlfriend, his house in Hawaii. These are all kinds of messages that the police state would like journalists to take away. A real whistleblower also does not put out potential legal penalties as options. It says real whistleblowers are usually trying to act for the public service. It says here they don't ever call attention to their own self-sacrifices. It says here, but the police state would like us all to think about everything we would lose by standing up against it. I definitely agree with what she's saying here. It is actually the police state's interest to let everyone know that everything you say, write, everywhere is being surveilled, and that awful things that happen to people who challenge this. It says he's in Hong Kong, which has close ties to the UK, which has done the US's bidding with other famous leakers such as Assange. So really, there are many other countries that he would less likely be able to be handed over from. Media reports that he vanished at one point to an undisclosed location or safe houses. Come on, there is no such thing unless you are with the one organization that can still get off the surveillance grid because that organization created it. Yeah, it's like how you can just take off to Hong Kong and not be surveilled when you're talking about how everyone's surveilled. It's just a joke. Leaked documents, U.S. grabbed Medvedev's phone calls at G20 in 2009. Again, this is just telling everybody that, see, even the political puppets for the global elites are being spied on. So it says here, Britain's long history of spying on visiting dignitaries, revelations of Cold War buggy and botched attempt to examine Khrushchev ship have caused a scandal in the past. Germans accuse U.S. of Stasi tactics before Obama visit. Their outrage over the U.S. internet spying program is broken out ahead of the visit by Barack Obama, with ministers demanding the president provide a full explanation when he lands in Berlin next week. It says here, the more a society monitors, controls, and observes its citizens, the less free it is. Well, duh, it's pretty obvious. The thing I've noticed, though, is the bigger corporations are, and the more income inequality there is, the higher the surveillance of the citizens, the higher of the Big Brother, the higher of the police state. German spies to boost net surveillance. Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service plans a major expansion of internet surveillance despite unease over revelations of U.S. online spying. So there you go, right? It says here 100 million euros planned project. This is for the German intelligence to expand web monitoring with up to 100 new staff members and a technical reconnaissance team. So it says here 66% believe the Obama regime has a right to analyze and collect internet data. A new CNN poll finds that 66% of American adults believe that it's right for the Obama regime to analyze and collect internet data. Only 33% believe the action is wrong, and 1% have no opinion. So there you go. Probably a nice manipulated poll, but who knows. Multiple new polls show Americans reject wholesale NSA domestic spying. So far, Gallup has one of the better worded questions, finding that 53% of Americans disapprove of the NSA spying. The CBS poll showed a majority of 58% of Americans disapprove of the government's collecting of phone records of ordinary Americans. Also, 59% of Americans are opposed to the current NSA spying, so there you go. Next up, we have Australia. Government building new data center for communications intercepts. The Australian government has been building a state-of-the-art secret data storage facility just outside Canberra to enable intelligence agencies to deal with a data deluge siphoned from the internet and global telecommunication networks. So they got so much spying going on, surveillance, that they have to be able to keep up with it and store it. High security facility nearing completion at the Harman Communications Base will support the ops of Australia's Signals Intelligence Agency, the top secret defense directorate. So, and that's why they opened up a new facility. The NSA did. Besides Utah, they just had a ribbon cutting ceremony to open that sucker up. And then, of course, they just announced right around the same time that they're going to be opening up a new one. I believe it was in Maryland, new facility. We're looking out for you. So this is the shorthanded Antioch Police Department is enlisting the help of local garbage collectors and letter carriers to spot crime on the streets. So employees of the local trash collector, Republic Services, as well as U.S. Postal Service employees have been given tips on how to act as effective witnesses to crimes. The program is dubbed We're Looking Out For You. Aims to add some experienced eyeballs looking out for the city's 105,000 residents. Drivers received a list of questions designed to help them identify criminal activity, as well as a laminated copy of the police department's non-emergency phone number. Ooh. They say it's a huge resource multiplier for us. As a lieutenant of Antioch Police Department, these are people who are actively engaged in the community and are actively participating in making Antioch a safer place. The Secret Service to outspoken Obama critic will come for your guns as the media is silent. This is I think this is a prepper. But it says here that the Secret Service visited Tom Francois, an outspoken critic of Obama, who has over 11,700 Twitter followers, and warned him on their way out the door to be careful or they would come back for his guns. Despite the stir caused on Twitter, the story has been virtually ignored by mainstream media. He was visited by the feds on April 11, 2013, what was described as a thick FBI file filled with screenshots of hundreds of posts. So I guess that's for Twitter and stuff like that. It says not only did he comply with the request to take a look around, he even signed a search consent form and authorization to review his medical and mental health records. Told the agents upon requesting that he had no intention of doing harm to the president, admitted using his First Amendment right to disagree with the president. The report says school districts scanned children's eyes for bus program without permission. So you should not be surprised if you dump your kids in re-education camps. A series of behind-the-scenes mistakes by educators or brainwashers and indoctrinators in a Florida school district led to children's biometric information being called without their parents' permission. Who knows? Maybe in the future we'll see where children or students, when they're in these education complexes for the whole week, 5 days, and they get visitation rights to their parents. It could be eventually that they give the rights to the children, right? And then they sign away the rights to the state, and then they just basically, can you imagine that? Like, they get visitation rights, the parents, to their own kids on the weekends? That the state takes full custody of the child? Technically already like that, to a certain degree. But West Virginia teen who refused to remove NRA shirt at school could face jail time and related charge. So it says the 14-year-old was arrested in April when officers say he nearly incited a riot after refusing to change out his NRA t-shirt. But the teen says he didn't violate any school policy and was merely exercising his right to free speech. A judge is allowing prosecutors to charge him with obstructing an officer, which means he could face jail time. This is about getting younger people into the system. They're really pushing that with the schools and prisons and arresting students for things that they do at school instead of bringing the parents in, instead of dealing with it internally. No, they have to bring the cops in now. We're all criminals. I guess that's what they're trying to tell them. Institutionalize everyone, right? Man stops kids vandalizing house, now he might go to jail. So we've seen these stories over and over again, people thwarting shootings, stabbings, and they end up getting arrested or actually suspended. These are students doing the right thing and they're getting punished for it. It's unbelievable. People just don't use freaking common sense anymore. So it says charged with child endangerment for putting kids in a closet until cops arrived. If you see someone smashing a hammer into a house you've been renovating, you call 911 and run inside, where you find 4 boys aged between 8 and 10 in the middle of some $40,000 worth of vandalism. What do? It says here the man locked the kids in the closet until the cops arrived, a move that could now send him to jail for 4 charges of endangering the welfare of a child. You could get a maximum of a year in jail. So it says here, they say that the kid said that that basically he was going to take the hammer and bash their skulls in or something like that. So they said that he knew who the kids were. It says, he goes on here, it says the 4 boys face felony charges of second-degree burglary and second-degree criminal mischief. The moral order is inverted. So the moral order is inverted as the criminal class is in power. It says we are the prey. Manning in a just society would be a prosecution witness against war criminals. Those who committed these crimes should be facing prison, but we do not live in a just society. This human rights activist, Chinese activist, says Chinese communist influence in academia far greater than people believe. The work of the Chinese communists within academic circles in the U.S. is far greater than what people imagine. Academic independence and academic freedom in the U.S. are being greatly threatened by a totalitarian regime. Talking about New York University saying that they were keen to dissuade him from speaking out on Chinese human rights abuses such as forced abortion, exposing the one-child policy. It says here now he's being told that his family must leave the university housing by the end of the month. There would be no extension. This is interesting. According to the New York Post, the big problem is that NYU is very compromised by the fact that they are working very closely with the Chinese to establish a university campus in Shanghai. A Gallup poll says confidence in newspapers at record low. So it says here that's a drop from 25% in 2012 to 28% in 2011. And a Gallup poll, 77% do not trust television news. Goes on here and it says another figure is noteworthy in the study. Only 23% of those polled said they had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in television news. This comes after a record low 10% approve of Congress and a record low poll for Gallup. The U.S. puts more kids and teens in juvenile detention than any other developed nation in the world. Philadelphia closes 23 schools and lays off thousands and builds a huge prison. Sesame Street designs online kit for kids who have parents in prison. No joke. This is GGN. Thank you.